Hello and welcome to The Secret of Everything. I'm Dr. Anne Curtis. If you would like to experience more inner wisdom, more divine wisdom, more peace and more calm, then you're about to hear just how you can do that. Today I have with me David Shachan, who followed his divine wisdom and inspiration to create WisdomNet. Here's David.
When I first encountered the three principles, back in the mid-90s, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and really just trying to work it out all in my head. And a friend of mine told me about the principles, and it was kind of a revelation, this idea that there's this inner wisdom that's available to us all that can guide us naturally. In fact, the less we try, often, the easier that wisdom is discernible. And so that was revolutionary, really. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was inspired enough to start teaching. I wanted to share with everybody, I guess as often the case. And I started leading groups mostly, and I took to heart the idea to express it in my own words. And then I eventually did a training with Jack Pransky, and in part of it, he introduced deep listening. And that was another wave of like revelation, that two people just being present, one listening to the other, could be very profound and helpful to bring about insight and a greater degree of calm and well-being. And meanwhile, at the same time, I had seen the power of support networks and plus social networks were definitely starting to boom. It was just about the time that Facebook was starting. And I saw the vision that social networks to me, are an embodiment of the principles. I mean, all of life is, but a network by its nature is about connection. And I thought, wow, to combine this an inner understanding of how the world works and our inherent connection with each other with an actual vehicle for connecting and a simple means of connecting our format through a deep listening session, it just kind of came to me as this could be the most powerful platform for wisdom and intelligence and evolving the culture that has ever existed. And so I just went off to my full-flown, that was the inspiration for WisdomNet. So a network which is about wisdom, and it's a network. So to me, again, those concepts, this notion that there's a divine intelligence or an inherent intelligence in the universe that comes to us as wisdom, plus the fact that we all are actually connected, combined with technology to do so, like over the internet, that's WisdomNet. Now it's catching on, and the essence of it are these deep listening sessions. And to say a little more about deep listening, it goes back to this idea of our natural state that we talk about in the principles. The principles are mind, consciousness, and thought. And mind is the word used to express this inherent intelligence of life itself. I mean, really the miracle that we are. That the miraculousness of that we can do anything in life, that we know how to walk, that we know how to breathe, for our heart to beat. And I mean, that's something we don't have to pay attention to, or what grows trees, or even on the level of choices we make. How do we know finally whether to do anything? I mean, how do we know when it's time to get out of bed? Lying in bed, it's time to get up. I don't know, daydream. All of a sudden, this impulse comes. That's how it works for me, right? And we're up. So yes, that's the principle of mind. And like many folks think, me included, that life is happening to us, and we're kind of in relationship with life, so that we're kind of always dealing with life, the events that happen. That's what it looks like. What I'm excited about, one of the things I'm excited about WisdomNet is that I also see WisdomNet as a vehicle for people to realize principles, to have insights in another way, complement books and webinars, because what happens in the basic deep listening session, which I call a wisdom session, you're listening deeply and you're sharing authentically. So to kind of bring this to real simple, the benefits, one of the benefits can be deeper insight. The other one is to actually gain some practical wisdom for one's life, just in this session, kind of talking something through as we see what we're thinking more objectively. It tends to kind of clear the field for us, inward field, and that natural wisdom has a chance to come through. And finally, people tend to feel calmer. It just seems to be a natural progression during the session. So,
how do people join up for it, and what do they have to know about the principles to be part of the Wisdom Net?
Right, excellent questions both. First, no, they do not need to know about principles. It's customized to a person or a small group. So if they don't have any three principle background, I'll give them some, the basics, as well as the rest of the training. And to connect with WisdomNet, the primary way is through wisdomnet.com. It's really as simple as filling out a small profile so other people can have a sense of who you are, because the whole point is to connect to other people in the network. It's a social network. Connect with them for the purposes of exchanging wisdom sessions. So it's a very specialized social network. It's focused just on that. You go through the introductory training, which is between 1 to 3 1-hour sessions, video conference sessions, one-on-one or a small group. You spaced out a week or two in between. So people have a chance to practice sessions and so forth. So that's it. And then once the other mechanism is how people connect with each other. Once they're on the network, there's a real-time session request system, which basically you can put out a request. Well, you can contact any individual person that you see, you read their profile and you're interested. You can contact them and reach out to them, say, hey, you want to try a session? Or what you can also do is just put out a general request to the whole network, people who have the app installed, running off of WhatsApp at this point, a particular app, and they, if they have notifications on and they're interested, they'll get a ping saying, hey, George is interested in doing a 20-minute wisdom session, exchanging both ways. A basic session. There are different kinds of sessions. Like say the basic session is just listening. And anybody who wants to is available, can respond, and boom, it's set up. And around the world, somebody could, as we develop, request a wisdom session any time, day or night. And as our numbers increase, have faster, quicker and quicker response, which can be really nice, I found. I mean, wisdom is always within us, unconditionally. We can contact it just when we're alone. Wisdom can also guide us to different tools to use, like go for a walk or call a friend or connect for a wisdom session. And I have found that often when I'm really, struggling with something and I'm aware I'm, as we say, outside in, I'm thinking life's happening to me. I've lost the perspective, the role of my thoughts, to actually do a session right then, to share what's going on. And it's a very fertile time to go, oh boy, yeah, I see how I'm outside in, and calm down and get some wisdom. So that's a feature that I'm super excited about. I've been, this kind of real-time request is, I've been involved with various different peer support networks outside the three principles as well. And there's really nothing that I've seen like this, where you can, put out a request and ideally relatively soon get a response, and you can do a live call. That's the other part about a session, is that it's designed to be live and speaking with each other. I mean, there's some systems out there which are forums and texts, and that's fine, but there's another level where when you're really with a person in real time, and you can deeply listen and feel each other's presence and the compassion that's there. Because really, to me, a wisdom session, another way of saying is it's a form of love. You're being present with somebody in a loving way, no judgment, just there. And so to have that presence available anytime, that's sort of the dream that I've been working on for all these years, and it's starting to come together now. Also, the format of the session has gotten simpler. As I've done more, I've learned. And now the basic format is so easy. It's just listening. The person who's listening just listens. That's it. The basic recommended session is audio only, to not get distracted by video. So occasionally you might naturally do a little or like that. It helps the person know you're there. But basically there's nothing for you to do as a listener except just relax and kind of just enjoy the experience. So it can be, I find it as or even more calming to be the listener. And people are just responding so well now and going, wow, I can't believe how powerful just listening is, or just being listened to.
Someone I knew was doing a training in the 3 principles, and she was asking for people to be volunteer clients. And this particular week where I volunteered, her instructions for that week were just to listen and to do absolutely nothing else. And it was just amazing. It was just me being listened to, which was very new. And we were both amazed at how good it felt. And I think people don't realize quite how effective that can be, or quite how connecting that can be.
Right. I know what you mean about people being surprised about how good it can feel, because most people have never had that experience.
So what was, before you came across the principles, you said that you were very anxious.
Yes.
What was your life like before you became, before you came across it?
Yeah, very anxious. A lot of physical pain related to the anxiety, contraction, tightness in my muscles, and a behavior of overeating to calm those intensely painful feelings, including the physical ones, which just created an addictive cycle. That's where I was. Really, at that point, I was sort of just driving myself crazy. Like I would get so anxious because I kept on trying to think about it. Just getting myself in a more and more contracted state. The principles enable me to relax more and move forward. And I started teaching, and for sure, it's been my inspiration ever since. I built up a coaching, some small coaching practice of my own, and then Wisdom Net Self, and I brought it to the work I was doing at the time, and in IT as well. I developed leadership qualities. I will say, though, that I'm still dealing with a lot of those very same challenges as I was back in the mid-90s. Still dealing with lots of experience of anxiety, lots of sort of physical pain, contraction related to anxiety, and still resorting to food, overeating in some way to kind of regulate the pain of that. So I'm still dealing with all that. A lot of teachers, they say, well, yeah, before I had my enlightenments or my realization, I was a mess. I was a basket case. From time to time, I lose perspective and I go out, I get upset. But it's so much better, right? So I thought to myself, okay, that's cool, but I don't think I'm that guy, So how's that going to work, right? And I was like, geez, I better do better before I go public, but I know, I laughed at myself too. So, but finally I realized, geez, David, I'm not showing up to say that, hey, somehow look how great I am now. I'm not showing up that way. That principles have benefited me. Let's put it this way. I'm creating this thing that I'm so passionate about. My ability to do this, to stay engaged and to build Wisdom Net and have wonderful connections with so many, probably hundreds of people over the past 10 years, it is kind of in spite of these ways in which I'm living outside in and caught up. So to me, I'm just showing the guy. I'm like everybody. I have some level of insight. I have a lot of areas I'm outside in. So Wisdom Net is not about me, David, as the teacher. That's not the primary thing it's about. I'm just facilitating, creating the structure, and I'm happy to teach what I can. But the main point about WisdomNet is that we're all teachers for each other, that we all have this wisdom. As soon as we have some glimpse of that, we have something profound to give to another human being, which at a simple level is just our open-hearted attention, deep listening. So that's the point. WisdomNet is where we're all teachers. So that's what I guess I want to get across, that it's about us, the members of WisdomNet. It's not about me. And the way I see myself now, kind of really looking, David, you're a little unusual cat, maybe for a 3-principle teacher, because you have these struggles going on. I'm like, okay, well, I think the wisdom of the universe it's the idea that wisdom exists. That's mind-blowing. It's natural to us. We don't have to work at it. And the simple session is one way to experience it. So I guess that's kind of the message of my life, I'd say, to this point, is that we all can access inner wisdom and leadership. Like, to me, we're all natural leaders. Which all that means is we know something that we feel we know, share. Could be as simple as we know we love to paint. We could share that. I'm one of the more challenged people I've met, day to day. I've struggled with stuff. On the other hand, I feel incredibly inspired and keep getting new inspirations for WisdomNet and keep putting out new things. And so it's like, I am a leader. I'm the leader of WisdomNet. We all can feel sometimes very, very challenged. And like we have nothing to offer, but we always do. So that's my being really authentic and very open and raw in a way, which actually is also the essence of a wisdom session. Because when the agreement is it's confidential, to create some safety, you're just allowing the truth to come through. And the truth does set us free, because what happens is what comes through is often actually not the truth. It's the illusion, the first thoughts about oneself, one's life, or the illusion. But that's speaking the illusion and going, wait, I don't really believe that. Then the truth opens, gets revealed. So I guess in a way, I kind of demonstrated a bit of a wisdom session just now by just kind of being very open and speaking my truth. So there we go. And actually, you've been spontaneously doing a wisdom session with me, I want to tell you. And I want to say this is the first time I ever talked to Anne. Just so you guys know, first time I ever met her was just like 5 minutes before we started recording. And I've never trained her in wisdom sessions. But Anne, you have been doing a form of wisdom session with me by deep listening. And I can sense that you have been. You're just present and there and smiling. And well, the basic session of a wisdom session is just listening. But there is these variations that are optional depending on what the person who's sharing would like. The variations can include questions and reflections. So thank you for giving me a wisdom session, Anne.
So now people have witnessed a wisdom session.
They have, yeah, in a very organic, spontaneous way, yes.
And if they would like to experience that for themselves, and they can come along and join WisdomNet.
Anytime. You can 24/7 join WisdomNet. And aside from the session, the ways to connect with others for session through the request system, I'm also offering groups, wisdom session groups, where we take turns doing sessions in front of the group, which creates a whole beautiful energy, a whole group of people listening and sharing. I call that WisdomNet Connect. And those groups currently I'm facilitating personally 3 hours a week, and it's posted on the website when to join. There's Zoom calls, again, with default video off for a number of advantages, I think, including deeper listening, creating a deeper opportunity for listening. So those are on the website. I have them optimized right now for 3 areas of the world, for the UK and United States, one of them. Another one is really good for India, and the third is really good for Australia. So I'm just really trying to cover the New Zealand, try to cover the globe right now. My vision is to train volunteer facilitators to lead these. So anybody is interested in helping grow the groups, which are very powerful, facilitating free facilitator training is available now. I'm happy to do it even one-on-one. And that's an awesome way to deepen your insight. To me, the wisdom session is the foundation in a lot of ways, I think, for any coaching. It's the basic element of coaching, that deep listening with understanding of how human beings function.
I only found out about WisdomNet reasonably recently, so it's really interesting to hear about how it works and the inspiration behind it.
Thanks. It was really fun to share. You know, as I said, I do a lot of passion, and it's great to have an opportunity to just have a lot of time to just lay it out. And
thank you very much for talking to me. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people wanting to come and join and have an experience of WisdomNet too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. It was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much.